Welcome to the Pop Go Project podcast. I have a man this evening who I'll say this is not to be offensive, but who is a nobody. Not that I'm anybody, but a nobody, but has gone viral on social media. This man right here has gone. I don't want to say all like for the wrong reasons either, because it's funny. But this individual, if you're on social media, it may have come across your feed. In fact, that's how it came across mine. I'm actually sitting. It was Sunday evening, Easter Sunday. I'm with family at the dinner table. Like this is post dinner, and I'm just scrolling through Instagram, and I see this video. It's someone at WrestleMania 41. And the video's from the night prior. It's on Saturday night. So this is Sunday, scrolling through Instagram, and I see this video. I'm like, oh, this seems interesting. And then I see the person in the video, and it is Charlie Biscotto, who also happens to be my cousin, which makes this also crazier. So yeah, so you were at WrestleMania Saturday night, and I guess it was I should probably play the video so people can kind of have an idea of what we're talking about. I'm going to try and do this. It may not work. If it doesn't, this is going to be clunky, and I apologize, but play the video. All right, we're back. Video played. Hopefully, if not, this is very clunky. But if you search on social media or YouTube, you'll probably type in WrestleMania 41 escalator. You'll probably find it. But you got caught running up a down escalator. Talk about it.
Yeah, so leaving WrestleMania, first they closed so many of the exit gates. So there's a choke point leaving the stadium fence. There's a choke point getting over this bridge. And then they shut down one of the other bridges. There's a choke point to go up these escalators. And I'm walking towards it, and I see a couple of brave folks have decided to start going up the downside of the escalator. There's no traffic coming the other way. And I decide, you know what? I'm in good shape. That's a fine shortcut. I'm going to hit that escalator and save myself 20, 30 minutes of waiting in line to get on the escalator the right way. And get to the top, see a man with a camera, and immediately, like the second I got back to the hotel room that night, I said to my wife, Kristen, I think I'm going to go viral. And the next morning I woke up to a text message from a college friend I hadn't spoken to in like 15 years saying, hey, is this you, man? And I was expecting that video to show up somewhere. I did not expect 50 million views and an appearance on the Pat McAfee show. So it's been a little more than I was initially anticipating.
And now you've hit the big time. You're on the Pop Go Project podcast. I mean, this is how bigger can you get, right?
Instagram, Pat McAfee, Pop Go Project.
Well, it was so fun. Well, talk about because when we were texting earlier, you kind of alluded to the fact there was more to the story than what people saw. So people, hopefully they saw a video in this video, but again, go find it online. You had someone impeding your progress in front of you. A man who wasn't in quite as good shape as you are, and we saw him struggling mightily, but you said that that wasn't his first attempt at getting up the down escalator.
Yeah, I want to stand up for him because I've seen some ruthless comments across social media about him, and there's a little more to the story, a little more context that I think is appropriate for understanding what exactly is happening there. So I'm at the bottom of the escalator. I hear like a crash at the top. So this big group of people ends up kind of tumbling a bit backwards. Their progress is stopped. He comes like halfway down and has to start over again, working his way back to the top. Then he gets almost all the way to the top again, and he took his foot off the gas a little early. He's like, "Oh, I'm close to the finish line. I could slow down." But the problem with the down escalator is you gotta fight through the tape. You got to get all the way through there, and ended up coming back down again. So I end up catching up to him. And I'm, it looks like I'm a little annoyed by him, but I'm trying to pump him up in his ear. I'm like, come on, man, you got this. You're going. You're gonna make it. And that's about when he throws his things and ends up not being able to finish his story, as it were. And that's when I push around him because I don't want to go back down and have to do a second round of that up the down escalator journey for myself. So,
Yeah. Now, how hard is it to run up a down escalator? I myself, I've never attempted that. I never actually really even thought about doing that.
I did it a bit in my youth. I've done it a few times. This wasn't my first rodeo.
Okay, you're training. You trained for this moment. You knew one day this is
Going down up escalators, some up down escalators, just for kicks, never knowing that training would pay off. And the most important step is the first step, as with any journey, right? Because that's where you really have to find the rhythm of where the escalator steps are going to be. And then it's all about just staying in rhythm. You know where they're going to be. It's almost a math problem of if I'm moving in this direction, then
because they're a little deeper than a normal step.
they're a little deeper and they're moving against you. So you're doing some mental math as you're going. It's all about finding the rhythm of the stairs. Not terribly exhausting to do one round of it, but once you're on your third round, I could see where somebody would lose their ability to hit that gas at the right moment.
Yeah, and I can appreciate the guy. He just kind of like you could tell he knew it was done. He knew it was over, game over, and it's like you saw it was like a sad, slow descent, and then the sadness upon his face. Now, do you think he got the because he at least said he throws the bag of some of his items up ahead as if he's trying to alleviate some weight from his what he's carrying, and he tosses the stuff ahead. Now, did you know if he got that stuff back?
I don't know, but I believe he was in a group. I think he was throwing it to friends of his who were going to hold on to it for him. So then they were, I assume, waiting for him at the top with those things. He wasn't just throwing it. It does look like a video game character, like losing their coins and tossing things into the air, going down. But I think he was doing that with some intention.
Yeah. Oh man, that was funny. There's a guy behind you too. He also made it. Almost tripped at the last second there. I was a little worried.
I saw that on the tape, and I felt watching that thankful that I didn't have any missteps because man, that getting shared to again 50 million views and the Pat McAfee show. That's you want to have good form. I was proud of my form rewatching it. Getting those high steps, keeping the feet moving. I felt good about the way I handled it.
It's so crazy. It's so funny, and it's so funny how things can go viral like that.
And I think what really makes the video is the people at the bottom start chanting one more time, one more time. They were really pulling for him, but he knew he didn't have it in him anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, with that adrenaline rush of the crowd.
Yeah, we love an underdog. I was bummed when he gave up.
I tried to find him the next night. I wanted to support him on a second run up those stairs. I wanted him to be able to do it because I think he had it in him. I saw a lot of criticism. I think he had it in him. I think the circumstance, the bright lights got to him, and he just needed a little focus at that crucial moment.
Well, it's easy for everyone to sit behind a computer screen or a phone and Monday morning quarterback, as they say. But the lights are bright. He's probably been at WrestleMania for hours.
4-hour show,
exhausting.
And again, like all of those choke points coming out of the stadium, it takes a toll on you emotionally. You're like, God, I just want to be home, and that's probably what is driving some of these people to hit the stairs, even if they're not sure if they can make it.
Yeah, I saw a lot of comments like, "What are these people doing?" And so I'm not sure what video I'll be able to share, if I'm able to share one at all. If I do, it might be one. The guy, I'm going to give him the credit. His name is Jared. I'm going to say Guynes, Guynes is his Instagram page. Jared Guynes. And he had a clever, I guess you can call it a caption. It really brought you in. His headline was "Fans risking their life to run uphill to escape WrestleMania." So you see that, you see people running up these stairs, you see a crowd of people behind you, and of course you're like, "What's going on at WrestleMania?" Did in the world we live in, right? I mean, were shots fired? Did someone, you know, drop some poison gas? You never know. So thankfully that wasn't that.
It's definitely a sensational caption to the video. That's meant to draw eyes, but also the number of comments on the video that are they really risking their lives? That's
Right.
engagement farming. Everybody who's arguing with the caption is getting more eyes brought
Yeah.
to that video. So smart marketing on his part. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, even that was the text that was fixated on the screen, but even below that in his thing, it said like, "This is one of the most dangerous things I've ever seen," or something like that. I'm like, I mean, when you know the story, I mean, it's you're going up a down escalator, so I mean, worst things have happened.
and yeah, sure. If somebody falls on you, it could be a bad situation, but that's any set of staircase. Somebody could fall down on you, and
Yeah,
what are you going to do?
yeah. So how was WrestleMania 41 in general?
Had a great time. Main event left a little to be desired for me, but some great wrestling overall. Really loved the women's triple threat match that opened night two. Loved Jacob Fatu against LA Knight. That was a classic. Uh, Getting to see Dominic Mysterio win his first main roster singles title. There were a lot of great WrestleMania moments. Uh, yeah, no complaints on my part. I got upgraded from my original seats because they had to put camera equipment there, and was about 25 yards away from the ring. Had a great view of both the entrance ramp for some of the remarkable WrestleMania entrances. CM Punk, Living Color playing him on. That was so cool to see in person, and had a really great time with all of that.
Yeah, you've been a wrestling fan since I can remember. Like I said, we are cousins. We grew up together. I'm what, like 4 or 5 years older than you, maybe. And your family was like a big wrestling family. And I remember growing up, I was like, you always had like the Ultimate Warrior, like pillows and like little small rings, and you had the video games. And I never got into it. I don't know why I never got into it as a younger child. I could speculate, but I won't. But I got into wrestling when I was in high school, like late high school, like maybe junior year. When you had The Rock and Stone Cold and things like that. And I've kind of like been interested, but I haven't really have followed it a lot. I actually had it on that night on Sunday night in the background when people were hanging out at the table and shooting the shit and having some drinks. And it was just so funny because then I saw it on my phone. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, is this happening live right now? And it turned out it was the day prior. But one of the fights I did, or matches, I should say, whatever you want to call it, one I did see was it was two women. I want to say one was is her name Olivia or something?
On Sunday,
Yeah, it was on Sunday. Let's
there's
see if we can
Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez against Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch.
No, it wasn't them. I know who Becky Lynch is. I don't know. I all I did notice was they spent more time making sure their tops were staying on than anything else.
That does happen with some of the matches. Some of the wardrobe choices can be, that becomes part of the whole commentary of what ends up, you know, what's appropriate, what do people watch it for, and
Well, I almost felt bad. I felt like they were just spending more attention when they hit the mat. They would like make sure that like it was Naomi.
oh, Naomi Jade Cargill, yeah, that
Yeah.
was that Sunday or Saturday, but yeah, that match did have a little bit of that. Jade's outfit was fantastic, but it did have a tight cut, so
Yeah.
there were some concerns about wardrobe malfunctions there.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I wouldn't have hated it. I hope your mom's not going to watch this.
That is a thing that has always drawn people towards wrestling, and I
Sure,
mean, has also drawn women towards watching men and
of course.
in their little underwear and
Yeah,
having a
jacked
good time.
bodies. But you've been
Right.
a huge fan for a long time. I mean, what keeps you kind of engaged?
I stopped for a long time, and it's funny. You mentioned getting back into it, like with The Rock and Stone Cold in high school. I remember, being 4 years younger than you. That was like I was in seventh grade, sixth, seventh grade,
Yeah,
and it was right at the point where wrestling stopped being cool, and then all of a sudden, like 6 months later, they started cursing, drinking beer, women wearing less clothing, and it got cool again. And like I remember that moment. It was like I went from being somebody who was like almost made fun of for watching it to like everybody wanted to talk to me about it because they knew that I cared. Uh, and I feel like a lot of people who were watching at that point stopped watching in the early 2000s, and a lot of those people have just picked it up in the last year or two. The stories have gotten better and cleaner. The match quality has also improved drastically. People actually care about whether or not the matches are good in a way that I don't think they did when we were kids. Nobody cared if a Hulk Hogan match was good. It was
right.
Hulk Hogan. They wanted to see Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
And I think people who are watching now are more dialed into, is the match, is the physicality telling an interesting story? Are the physical feats impressive? Do you
yeah.
want to watch this? Is it a one of a kind thing, or is it, a guy in George throwing punches?
Well, it's funny because I think the last WrestleMania I watched was in 2013. I want to say it was The Rock versus John Cena, I believe. And I was
That was
telling you
a
that
once in a lifetime
I don't
Rock.
remember. I don't remember. I think, but I'm almost positive it was those two guys though in
Yeah,
2013. So even as an adult, I try not to. But like you're right though. Like when I was watching it for the first time in 12 years, I was just watching like the like the stunts or the physicalness of the like what they were doing, and it's impressive.
yeah. It's gotten a lot more impressive. And Triple H, who's running creative for WWE, he was running WWE's developmental NXT not too long ago, and NXT became its own brand of people who cared about match quality, people who wanted to watch interesting, compelling fights rather than people who cared about whether or not a big star like The Rock or John Cena or Hulk Hogan or whoever was involved. And it's, there are two different fan bases, really. There are people who like the spectacle and people who like the match quality. And now both of them are kind of getting exactly what they want in a way
Yeah.
that they haven't before.
Now I showed my son because WrestleMania was going to come on, and I wanted to kind of put it on TV to see if he was interested in it. So I showed him a match of Stone Cold versus The Rock. I forget what year, or no, I'm sorry, The Rock versus John Cena, not the one I was just referring to, some different one. And this is the first time he had seen any kind of wrestling in this form. And his comment was, "Who wears short? Or who wears jean shorts to wrestle?" And I was like, the fact that you picked up on that is the first thing you said as a 7-year-old kid. That's perfect.
It's something I still wonder. It's something a lot of people thought he would like change his look for his last run, but no, he's rocking with it. And yeah,
And he fought over the weekend, right?
he defeated Cody Rhodes and became the first ever 17-time world champion in WWE. So that is a remarkable feat.
You think it's a good
And
storyline though? Like, is that like too much for this guy that
uh,
wears shorts or jean shorts?
it's tough because the years that he was dominant in WWE were the years that I stopped watching. That was the PG era where
Yeah.
things got almost too clean because the current Secretary of Education realized she wanted to run for political office, so they needed to make a couple changes to how they were doing things. Um, And so some of the match quality, some of the storytelling dropped, got sacrificed to the spectacle, to all of that. But that history, and wrestling fandom is very much about understanding the history. The idea of John Cena, and it's already set up for next month that he's going to have a match against Randy Orton, his oldest rival. I imagine somewhere down the road they're going to run back John Cena versus CM Punk. And those things are compelling, not necessarily because of match quality, but because there's history, because there's a story there that I think WWE is tapping into really well. I think Randy Orton versus John Cena, with John Cena now playing the bad guy where he's never played the bad guy before, the fans are going to be cheering for Randy Orton in a complete reversal of what their rivalry had already been. Randy Orton was the consummate heel, the Viper, ready to strike anybody. And that's a fun reversal, and it's a cool story. So I think people will be interested in those parts of the story more so than the big picture story.
Yeah. And John Cena is now the heel, correct?
John Cena's the heel. He turned heel at Elimination Chamber.
And he didn't change. He didn't take the jean shorts off.
Didn't take the jean shorts off. Everybody
I think
thought
that would be a perfect time to kind of rebrand.
He's kind of playing it as that's what you people want, and I'm not giving you what you want. And I think that's smart because already, look, people like cheering for history. Being there at WrestleMania, part of me was like, I kind of want to see the first ever 17-time champion.
True.
Even though I like Cody Rhodes a lot, I would have been happy to see him continue his reign. But John's getting to see history is cool. So people were excited to see that in a way that almost went against the normal good guy, bad guy dichotomy.
Mm-hmm.
People were cheering for John Cena, and John Cena addressed it the next night on Monday Night Raw saying, you people are cheering for me. You guys booed me when I was coming through. You did the same thing to Cody Rhodes. You guys are idiots. And turned the fans against him again and made them excited when Randy Orton popped out and delivered an RKO out of nowhere. And that's the kind of storytelling that wrestling can do that no other medium really can.
That's what's cool about wrestling too. I mean, wrestling gets a bad rap. I think people say it's fake, it's this, that, the other thing. It's a guy soap opera. I mean, maybe to a degree, I guess. But I mean, you're not getting thrown into the tables regardless of if they're sturdy or not on a soap, right?
Right.
These are guys that are like physical, like giants that are doing these routines and all this kind of stuff. I mean, if you look back on interviews with like guys like the Hulk, I think he like lost like 5 inches on his height because his like body is like compressed or something like that.
From doing the leg drop. People make fun of how stupid of a finisher it is, but it actually was hurting him so badly to just drop his leg. The mats used to be a lot harder.
Yeah.
That used to hurt the hell out of his ass every night to just drop his leg on a guy. So yeah.
Watch interviews with the Undertaker, and and these guys get addicted to pain meds because they're trying to, and they're not doing this one day a week, or in 1 day a week, one time a month. They're doing it consistently, 5 nights in a row, all over the country. I forget what the number was. I shouldn't even say it, but like out of the 365, I think these guys were out like 300 plus out of the year.
There are still guys who work 300 nights a year. I mean, it's absolutely insane. The plus side of the modern WWE, they introduced a wellness program where there's regular drug testing to make sure people don't become dependent on those things. The extra money that they're getting from Netflix and Peacock means they can pay the wrestlers more for working slightly fewer days. And a lot of them are still doing 250 days and all of that. But that compared to 300 plus days is a significant difference. They're working to give them some holidays off. The quality of life for wrestlers has definitely improved from what it was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So.
Which is good to see. I mean, again, these guys and girls are, abusing their bodies every night. Again, whether or not you want to think going through a table that is sturdy or not, and that mat, like you said, was back in the day much harder than it is these days. But still, it's still you're still doing a physical activity, lifting these monsters up in the air. It's yeah, it's not. Again, it's these people, keyboard warriors behind their computers saying like, oh, whatever. But
I'll also say, we mentioned the outfits earlier. Yeah, the outfits have stayed similar. The quality of women's wrestling compared to when we were kids, man, that the women's triple threat match that opened night two of WrestleMania was either the best or second best match of the entire weekend, just in terms of the physicality, the stunts that they pulled, the timing. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Io Sky, three of the cleanest workers in the business. It looked so sick. I had so much fun. It was one of my favorite matches, and I realized, unfortunately, after the match, I was actually sitting across the aisle from Io Sky's family during that match. So I wish I could have looked over to see their reactions, but that probably would have been awkward for them. So maybe it's best that I realized it after the
so
fact. But
instead, you went viral, and they're like, "Yo, we were sitting next to that guy."
now they're gonna look Io Sky's
Yeah,
family.
I should.
Mio
Yeah,
Shirai, hello.
they're gonna say, "Oh, we should have said hi to him."
Here's hoping. Once
How
they see me on the Popco project.
how the tables have turned. You mentioned Rhea Ripley too. I feel like she's like blown up, and she's been like this kind of this role model for young women too, which is always good to see. I mean, you want to have these strong, powerful people that kids look up to. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, there really are so many more body types that people, and I mean, we kind of had that growing up with China, where
Hmm.
she was the first sex symbol who looked like that. She posed for Playboy.
Yeah,
Like muscular women still being seen that way is again, it's objectifying in a way, but it's also changing what people
Stere-
publicly view as an acceptable way for women to look.
right. Yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, I have you watched the Vince McMahon documentary?
Yeah.
I haven't got through it yet, and I wish I would have before tonight. But this was like a last minute thing that we talked about literally today about jumping on and doing this. But that was interesting. It's kind of interesting how things change. I mean, everything does, and I guess I feel like the 80s and 90s was so dark, and for a multitude of reasons. You can get away with things that you can't get away with now, so you push the envelope there, and you just want to be successful. So you like do things that like you're kind of blinded by this vision you might have. That's kind of funny to say that way because, but like there's stuff you can't do today, and you kind of have to adapt. But there's like some dark days. I feel like back in like the late 80s and 90s.
Late 80s, early 90s was really some of the darker moments. They started to get a little more professional towards, but I mean, again, there was still so much that, and again, with the Vince McMahon lawsuits, all the way up to not very the very recent past, there were things that people could get away with in very high positions that um, really sullied the name of and you see it in any industry, in every
Yeah,
across industries, across
yeah, business,
every.
sports, yeah, everything. Yeah, we don't condone that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
But
And it's good that there's now an outlet for that to not be happening. uh,
yeah, I mean, it happened with
People feel
Nickelodeon,
much better about watching the product knowing that it is harder for that to happen,
right?
and
People are safe and respected and all that kind of good stuff. But I mean, it happened with Nickelodeon. Think about
yeah.
it's terrible, terrible. That's what we grew up with. We grew up with that.
Nickelodeon, Penn State, the Catholic Church, and professional wrestling, like all of these things that
Yeah, that we were kind of lied to about.
one of those things that you realize that it's not relegated to any one type of personality. It's
Right.
it's what people felt they could get away with. They tried to get away with, and
Yeah, I think that's like a human nature type thing too. Like let's like some people are just like, how far can I push this, and how like this is wrong, but like in their heads they're fucked up, and they're like, I want to see how far I can go.
I think the 80s and 90s just encouraged people to say, let's try things, and they didn't even think of it as getting away with things. They just thought it was what they were entitled to.
Right. That's a good way to look at it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm glad you had a good weekend at WrestleMania 41.
On
Have you?
that bright and cheery note about humanity.
Yeah. Well, not only, so it's funny, the family I had at my house was the family who came to visit you in New York City. I'm like, because you work at a very popular restaurant in New York City, and you are, I don't even want to try saying it. I've interviewed one before.
Molly.
You said it. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. So I'm like, yo, Charlie is is going viral on social media. I'm like, you guys, he like, you saw him at his restaurant. You're like, oh my god. So yeah. So you're not only an Instagram star now. You work at a very popular restaurant, and you're more than just a waiter or a bartender. You're very much involved with like wines and drinks and all that kind of stuff. So quickly talk about your time in New York City.
Yeah. I've been in New York now for 13 years, working in restaurants, waiter, som, bartender. I've done a little bit of everything. I'm now working at a place called Toodles and French. It's in Astoria. It was named USA Today's best new restaurant in the country back in January. I was working at the restaurant that Amanda visited me at the time.
Oh, so you're at a different restaurant now?
I moved to a new restaurant. Went from one really popular restaurant to another.
Okay.
It was actually the restaurant that I had my rehearsal dinner at. Was friends with the owner. They blew up after they got their USA Today write-up and reached out to me about coming over to work with them. So I'm doing a little bit of everything there, a little more hands-on, getting to craft cocktails for our list. So yeah, it's a fun challenge, getting a little more responsibility, a little more credit for the work I do, and that's a fun opportunity for me.
Sommelier?
Working as, I mean,
did I say that right?
So I went from that's it.
Okay.
I went from
but no one just like wakes up and says, I'm going to do this today. Like that's like a pretty significant process.
Yeah. I mean, I waited tables for about 10 years in New York before I started working as a sommelier.
So I didn't say it right. I didn't say it right.
Yeah, you're right there.
I didn't say it right.
It's emphasis and syllables and all that.
All right.
But yeah, I kind of slowly realized, and part of it was, I don't buy expensive wine for myself because I'm not rich. And I started finding if I bought wines that people didn't know about, that was really where I could get the best bang for my buck. And then translated that skill into working as a sommelier, where I could find weird, interesting things that got people exactly what they wanted, fraction of the cost, and made them a lot happier. So,
well, congrats on your move.
Thanks.
What is it called now? Toodles and
French is the name.
Toodles and French. Sounds fancy.
It was my the owner's and his brother's childhood nicknames. It's a 30-seat wine bar and restaurant in Queens, Astoria, where I live. I have a 20-minute walk to work, which is amazing. And yeah, I get to have a lot of fun. If you come in, there's a very good chance I am your waiter and your sommelier, and quite possibly your bartender, because it's a small spot. We do a little bit of everything there.
Now, who's the most famous person you've had walk in any of the places you've worked at in New York City?
I mean, I've waited on Tiffany Amber Thiessen. I've waited on Steve Carell.
Dude, Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Bacon. Yeah, Tiffany Amber Thiessen, absolute sweetheart. One of the nicest people I've ever met.
Dude, that was like the first girl I fell in love with as a young boy on Saved by the Bell.
Her husband's a nice dude too, so I can't help
Yeah,
you
I
out
mean,
there.
well, I'm not trying to take her from him, like mad respect, but like, you know, I ran home from school to go watch Saved by the Bell because, I mean, she was cool, and Zach was cool, and they were cool together. I'll
Chris
never
and I
forget.
actually watched that episode of Saved by the Bell when we were in Las Vegas. We were just like scrolling through, and we're like, "Oh, let's see what this is about." And it was one of the beach club episodes.
Yeah, that was okay. I didn't really love that, but I watched all of them. I watched the college years. I watched they had like a wedding episode. Like it was like maybe like an hour long or an hour and a half long feature. I was loved Saved by the Bell, and when Zach and Kelly broke up at prom or whatever the hell it was, heartbreaking, goddamn heartbreaking.
It's a beautiful love story that
But I apologize. Go on with your famous act, Tiffany, Steve Carell, Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, well, good number.
Cool.
Recently had Lydia Bastianich at Jules and French, who's a very big restaurant person. That's more like restaurant celebrity
Gotcha.
than casual celebrity, but yeah.
I got you. So, with your newfound fame, do you think that I mean you should probably talk to the owners of your restaurant and say, listen, like we might get an influx of people in here now to come see me, so maybe we should talk
I
about
don't
some
think
kind of payment structure.
we're going to have to put an escalator in the restaurant just because that's what people are going to want to see me for. So
Well,
we'll try to figure it out.
I told you, you need to like do a still frame of that video and put that on a wall, whether it's in your house, like right now where you're sitting, put it behind you, put it in the restaurant. You can, have little postcard size things you could sign, like just like you looked like a someone on a surveillance camera that just stole anything, right?
Start doing like wrestling conventions and be like, "Hey, I'm one of the escalator guys." That
Dude,
might be.
you probably could. I'm not even joking. I bet you could.
I'll look into it.
Dude, anyone who's a wrestling fan has seen that video. They'll know who that is. I mean, you got to keep going. I mean, like I said, you jumped on this podcast. That's going to do wonders for your career. I promise you that. And you got to keep going.
We'll see what we can do.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you jumped on here. This is the first time I've actually interviewed a family member on my podcast, and I'm over 230 episodes. Well, this might be if I get this out. I want to schedule for for Friday. That was going to be 230. I'm going to try and get this out tomorrow as episode 230. So, out of the 230 that I've done, I think this is the first family member who's more
happy to make Top Go project history.
Yeah, who's you're more. I've been doing this for 5 years or almost 5 years, and you go viral in one weekend.
There it is.
Hopefully, I can ride. Hopefully, I can ride that.
Escalator.
Hopefully, I can ride that wave.
Happy to bring you up the down escalator with me.
Yeah. Well, what is it? Rising tides raise all ships or some shit like that. I don't know. So we'll see what happens. But real quick, I want to do a plug to. We just released a new beer with Mutant Brewing. It's called Peach Fuzz. We did it with the collaboration of Mutant Brewing and the station Fuzz 96.1. It is available in Scranton at the brewery and soon to be in bars and restaurants and retailers throughout NEPA. So check out Peach Fuzz. It's a great 6.8% peach IPA for anyone interested in good drinks. And if you want it at your restaurant, let me know. It's probably a little high. You're probably a little too high end, but this is a nice craft beverage. Nice craft beverage.
We're not as high end as the name might sound. We're for the working people. We're in Queens. We're easy.
Okay.
Tricky part is getting things from Pennsylvania to New York because the way the liquor laws are.
Oh, sure. Yeah. There's always people trying to get their pockets filled. They make it difficult, Well, Charlie, don't get too famous on me. I was always hoping that I would be the most famous member of the family, and I think you've already beat me now, so thanks a lot. But just take me with you.
We'll get there. We'll get there together.
All right, buddy. Good talking to you.
You too.
See ya.
Take care.